Hey everyone, it's Jessica at Pretty Prints in Paper. Today I want to show you how I do some lettering in my planner, and I'm going to be showing you some fake calligraphy for those of you who want a little bit more control in your planner and don't want to take up too much room with bigger brush pens. I'm using today a Mono Twin from Tombow. They sent me this pen to give it a try, and I want to show you how I'm using it. These you can buy on their website, tombowusa.com. But I'm gonna try it out. Basically, permanent marker. There's two tips, which is kind of cool. There's one that is a 0.4 millimeter, so if you use the Stabilo fine liners, that's about that thin. It's a touch thicker than a Statler fine liner, which is really helpful when you want things to be super neat in your planner. And then there's the 0.8 millimeter, which is the broad tip, which is going to give you really nice thick lines or filling in some faux calligraphy. This is permanent, so that's kind of going to be interesting. I want to see how it bleeds or ghosts on the back of paper, so stay tuned. So I'm starting off using the broad tip, so that's the 0.8 millimeter side, so the thicker side, and starting with some cursive. So this is my standard cursive before I go in and do some downstrokes. By thickening the downstroke, it kind of fakes that calligraphy look, and since I use Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday all the time, I'm going to walk through at 2 times the speed what that might look like for you. There's no science really to how I do the downstrokes, but sometimes when you look, you can see there's a bigger gap between some letters, and so you'll thicken the side that will close the gap, or they're too close together on one side, so you close shade in the inside. You'll kind of get that sense as you start practicing it more, getting a feel for where you need to thicken the lines to create more even spacing between the letters. You can see that my S kind of became one big blob. That's something else you have to remember with fake calligraphy, is that sometimes you have to exaggerate the S's a little bit, or anything that has kind of that loopiness to it, so you don't lose the dimension of the letter. So you see that on Saturday, I should have done a wider loop around so that when I shaded it in, I didn't lose the shape. The texture of this broad pen reminds me a lot of a Sharpie because it has a lot of grip on the paper, a little bit of scratchiness as well. So you can see that compared to how I'm using the thin side, which is that 0.4 millimeter end. It writes really, really smooth and much more fine, so this might work better in your planners or small spaces. The downside is that if you don't get it right on the line to thicken it, you can see the gaps in between the lines. So you have to be a little more careful. Sorry if I sound a little groggy. My voice is kind of out because I'm sick. So I'm pushing on through. I'm using the fine tip to see how much I can get small with the different tips here and see the difference. So now I'm flipping it over and I'm kind of bummed. So this is regular printer paper, so 20-pound paper, and it really ghosted on the back. So it reminds me a lot of those Sharpie pens, how they kind of bleed through. I'm using now my May Designs insert that I have as my regular bullet journal, and using that fine tip to see what that looks like on this paper. Doing the same faux calligraphy, seeing if that'll make a difference. So that's kind of a bummer. Seeing that it ghosted so much, but I think this is really, really great for some other things, or for really heavy paper that you have that it won't bleed through, so keeping that in mind, I still think they write really, really well. If you've ever used a Sharpie when it's brand new, it's kind of like that with the broad tip, but I want it to have more control, and this is a perfect solution for that. And then for the fine tip, that's just really, really nice. So I would kind of liken this to a finer Sharpie and then the extra fine Sharpie for the broad and the fine. If you're interested in kind of learning my handwriting, this is part one of a couple part series using the different fonts that I write in, and people are always asking me, oh, you should make that a font, or how can I do that, or your handwriting is blah blah blah. So I made a practice sheet for you in case you wanted to practice that, and I have them on the blog. So this is what it looks like. There's 4 pages. I gave you a monoline and then filled in faux calligraphy lines so that you can kind of practice both versions. First using the cursive and then filling in the downstrokes with the second version. And I did these for all of the days of the week. You get to practice them each on their own row. And then I also did months, and this one I didn't do a double line, but I just wanted to give you practice with the months of the year, and then some numbers and an open space for you to practice whatever you wanted to. It's just a fun way to try a new style if you haven't tried that before, and share with you my personal flair, I suppose. So check that out on the blog, and for personal use only, please. I'm doing this just for fun and sharing it with you all. So I'll probably have these for free for a little while, and then I might or may not put them in the shop. Who knows? But enjoy. Go ahead and download that if you want to practice, and I will see you in future videos where I do different styles and future practice sheets. If you like this video, go ahead and subscribe, give it a thumbs up, but most of all, I hope that you found it useful and enjoyable, and I will see you in my next video. If you have any thoughts, please let me know down below. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.